All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be breaking down my favorite prop bets on PrizePicks today so that you guys can use it on your Flex Friday slip. Make sure to be taking advantage of that today. Let's go ahead and get into it. And so today, guys, we are getting a pretty big NBA board, but that's really all the bets that we are getting today is going to be with the NBA. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the 9 to 5 PrizePicks cheat sheet as it sits right now as well. And we are only getting one good bet right now, and that's going to be Vasilije to get over his fantasy score, which is a bet that I don't particularly love because with the Sixers finally being healthy, Paul George is back, Joel Embiid is back. I kind of worry about the minutes that he could get. We do see he's currently projected to get 23 minutes, which is right around his season average of 24.5, but it's definitely lower than what he had been getting. Well, Joel Embiid was out as well, and he had been someone that had been playing well. Now, this is a pretty good matchup, decently high-scoring game, 227 point total with the 6.5 point spread, so they're actually favored to win by a decent amount. Crazy how that works with Embiid back. But he does get a good matchup again in the last game, only 14 minutes in that game, so that does worry me somewhat there that is a bet that is popping up. Regardless, though, it is a bet that the day is telling us to bet. I probably will end up on it. We look at some similar games, 25 minutes, 27 minutes, 15 fantasy points there, 18.5 fantasy points. It would probably be a tight sweat here, but for the most part, I would agree that the over would be the slight favorite there. Now, with the board as it sits right now, we are getting some decent bets, but not any that I feel like we need to particularly go on too much. So I've been doing a lot of NBA game-by-game breakdowns. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. It's going to be more of an NBA video here. I'll touch on any other bets that pop up as I'm recording this in college basketball or NFL, but I want to touch on this first game that we have on the night, which is going to be Washington versus Cleveland. Now, the bets that we are getting here, I actually like a decent amount of the overs. Now, I do want to say that's with the caveat here with Washington. They are projected to lose by 17 points, which if you look at their last two games against Cleveland, that has been the case as well. They've been blown out by Cleveland the last two games. Evan Mobley could potentially sit in this game, which would slightly help Washington. Maybe it's a 12.5 point spread instead. But Washington is going to be without Malcolm Brogdon, still Kyle Kuzma, and Corey Kispert as well. So to me, that should lock in a lot of minutes for a lot of these younger guys. So honestly, Bub Carrington here, where the average sportsbook line is telling us to bet the under here, I might argue that's not the correct way to go. Okay, he's projected to get 29.64 minutes, so shouldn't lose minutes in this game really. And if you look at his per 36 production, again, maybe he doesn't get 36 minutes. The projection data likes him to get closer to 30, but should be right around, 30 minutes or so. And so, as an example, we look at that per 36 production. I actually like some of the bets that we're getting on him. He should easily be able to get this over. But the bet that I like the most for Bub Carrington is his over 4.5 rebounds is what the Vegas has it set at. Underdog has it currently set there. That's the correct line. But we're seeing PrizePicks is either giving us a demon or standard bet here. And so whatever, I'll have it set as a goblin bet. This is not going to have the best percent likely to hit, but I actually think we are getting a pretty good edge here. So on the season, we'll say he's only hit this over 31% of the time. That is a concern, don't get me wrong there. But we look at it, guys, his per 36 production with those players off the court is 6.2 rebounds per 36. And he is someone where the minutes have been up a little bit more recently. We see 5 rebounds, 4 rebounds, 2, 7. So I really do think we are getting a decent bet here on him to get over 4.5 rebounds. That is one where the average Vegas line is definitely liking the under. So that's more of an underdog bet. And so let's jump into another player that I like. It's going to be Alex Sarr here as well. So Alex Sarr is someone that should get a decent amount of run in this game. He is someone that has been somewhat limited minutes wise, but we look at against Cleveland, guys, that game was a blowout, still 27 minutes in that game. And then I mentioned they played them earlier on in the season as well. 25 minutes in that game, which was also a blowout. The thing I want to point out as well is we look at his points and rebounds in both those games, 12 points, 6 rebounds, so 18 there. And then we also look at against Cleveland the last time out, 9 rebounds, 10 points as well. And so I actually like his over 16.5 rebounds. And so again, not exactly a bet that we particularly typically like to use on PrizePicks or Underdog, but I do think we are getting a potential edge here, given the fact that one, he has gotten the over against Cleveland. If Mobley's out, that only helps him out a little bit there as well. You look at his production with those players off the court, Malcolm Brogdon, Corey Kispert and Kyle Kuzma, averages 15.4 points per 36 and 9.8 rebounds per 36. And again, not going to get 36 minutes. We can knock that off a little bit, but still, let's put it like 12 points and like 6 rebounds. Still like that over a decent amount there. He has a 57% hit rate on the season, and again, has gone this over twice against Cleveland. He is somewhat blowout proof because it still makes sense for him to get the minutes. And then lastly, I don't mind Coulibaly as well. I like his over points. This is a bet where he had been someone that had been struggling lately until his last game. He had been struggling shooting lately. The shot attempts were there, and he was in a cold streak. And so the fact that he was able to get his a really good game shooting in his previous game, I think he is someone that we could look at to have another good game. His minutes seem to be pretty locked in as well. Again, if you look at his per 36 production, which he might end up getting 34 minutes here is what he's projected to get, he averages 14.8 points per 36 with those players off the court. Against Cleveland, he's had a dud, which was during that kind of cold streak, but he also had 23 points against Cleveland as well. So I decently like this over here. If he's just shooting the ball somewhat normal, he should be able to get this over. Now, there is a potential that he doesn't get the blowout run that he has been getting. That is a little bit of a concern. And even against that game against Cleveland, where it's just a massive blowout, still ended up. Oh, that's Sarr. Sorry. Here's Coulibaly. Yeah, even in that game against Cleveland, that was a blowout. Still 31 minutes in that game. Now, again, he was shooting the basketball terribly. 1 for 7. Look at this cold streak. 2 for 9, 0 for 10, 1 for 7, 2 for 8. And then last game against Memphis, 6 for 13. So yeah, definitely was going through a cold stretch, but hopefully we're catching him on a more normal stretch here. And that's kind of the nice thing about a player coming in off of a bad stretch of basketball. It's that if that was an outlier, we are getting some pretty low lines on him. We're kind of getting him at a dip rather than at a peak. And for what's worth, guys, in this game as well, I actually don't mind getting to Jared Allen as some over bets especially if Evan Mobley's out. Like, this could be an advantage for us. And so a bet that I don't mind with him, this has been slightly bumped, is him to get over 13.5 points. You can still get that on Underdog. God, it's so annoying. You can still get that on Underdog. At 14, I don't hate it, but it's annoying how that's been bumped. But yeah, I don't mind it, guys. With Evan Mobley off the court, he averages like 18.8 points per 36, which is a plus 5.2 bump for him. He gets a 7% bump in his usage as well. In 2 games against Washington, he's gotten 16 and 23 points. And so regardless of if Mobley plays or not, there is still a good chance for him to get that over. Now, I'm annoyed that PrizePicks has bumped this up to 14 as I'm recording this video, but you can still get that on Underdog. I think that's a pretty solid bet there as well. So let's go ahead now and jump. There's one other bet I could mention. I don't like it as much, but maybe if you're trying to game stack this game, maybe you're wanting to be a little bit closer. I don't hate Donovan Mitchell to get over 4.5 assists. It's just a good matchup here against Washington, who gives up one of the most assists to opposing guards in the league. Second easiest matchup for that category. It's a tight line. I don't feel like we need to go crazy with that, but it is a bet that I did want to call because I decently like it. And then let's go ahead and jump back into the Sixers. And here's a bet that I really don't mind, and that's going to be Embiid to get over 10 rebounds. Now, there is a chance where this game does end up being a blowout, 6.5 point spread. And if it does end up being a blowout, maybe he doesn't get a high minute total. But if you look at in the last game, guys, he got 30 plus minutes in that game. He's projected to get right around 33 in this game. Given the matchup here as well with Indiana, where they give up the second most rebounds to opposing bigs, 16.5 on the season, I really like the idea of getting to Embiid for over his rebounds. I kind of understand why Vegas is giving us this line, but at the same time, I think it is a good spot for us to get an edge here with Embiid for over his rebounds. So let's jump on into Charlotte. Now, Charlotte is still banged up. I mentioned this a bunch. Micic has been a source of profitability for us, guys. It's been a fun stretch here over the past 2 weeks. Just been crushing. I mentioned last week we had hit over 70% of our bets, which was awesome. This week now we've hit 60% of our bets, 16 for 27 on the week. So really good stuff. He has been part of that nice stretch. Now, I would argue that his lines are still a little bit too low, especially when you look at his per 36 production with Trey Mann and LaMelo Ball off the court. But it's no longer seemingly like a free square, if you will, as long as the minutes are there. Like, they were coming in as basically discounted lines for us. assuming that he did not have a cold night shooting, And so I still like some of the bets that we are getting on him, whether it be his points and assists, points and rebounds. But that is mostly due to the matchup that we are getting now, because the matchup is very fruitful. Going against Chicago, they give up some of the most points and some of the most assists per game to opposing guards, point guards specifically. 27 points per game and 11 assists per game as well. And so if Micic doesn't have a cold night, again, you typically play these rotational players a little bit too much. Yeah, they might get a spike in their production, but they will eventually regress back to their norm, which could happen. But this is a very good matchup going against the Bulls. He has consistently been able to get this over. You take his minutes projection, he should be able to crush this over. Average, he should be able to still get the over. DVP wise, really should be able to get the over. His DVP projection, which is just taken, again, on a point per minute basis, how many points and assists in this case the Bulls give up and then times it by his projected minutes. Yeah, he should be able to get that over then. So again, assuming he doesn't have a cold night, I do like this. Now the projection data is slightly disagreeing. The projection data, I always talk about this, that is a whole separate data point. That is just for us to really gauge whether or not we really love a bet. I'm saying that is still not accounting for the production that he has seen with Tre Mann and LaMelo Ball off the court. And so I do want to call it, guys, here real quickly. The issue that I'm having with a lot of these bets here is that they're all bets where the under is slightly favored. And as you guys know, a lot of those bets are going to be bets that are just better traditional sportsbook bets because the payouts can be more worth it. If we continue to chase those lines on PrizePicks and or Underdog, where we're not getting that long-term, profitability, a bet that is over 54%, it's not going to lead to long-term success. Now, on Flex Friday, am I more likely to maybe chase some of those under bets where I do think there's just an outlier with how the players are being valued? Yes, and that's because obviously a protected pick, which is awesome, but that's not something I want to typically recommend in the long term. So I did want to call that out. A lot of these are just better bets on traditional sportsbook sites, maybe Sleeper. I always like to mention Sleeper because they have a lot of promos going on, so maybe check that out there. Then let's go ahead. We got two more bets that I want to get into here. Looking at Anthony Davis, I haven't decided if I really want to go on him too much. And so, guys, Anthony Davis with LeBron James off the court gets a big bump in his usage, about like 3% bump in his usage. And you look at kind of just what he averages per 36 with LeBron off the court. He averages 33 points. I'm running up there, 13.5 rebounds and 3.8 assists per 36 there as well. So in other words, 18 rebounds and assists per 36. And we're going to see this game has the potential to be a blowout, 9-point spread, but he is still projected to get 35 minutes in this game, which is pretty awesome there. The issue is that it is a difficult matchup going against Rudy Gobert and the Minnesota defense. A matchup that he has struggled with in one game, and now you take LeBron out of that equation. I could see that being a situation where maybe that doesn't actually help him. Now, it is a little bit of a bet based off of the game, like how the game goes. Maybe he doesn't get the 37 minutes that he typically does get, but again, he is projected to get 35 minutes, so I don't hate that. Maybe he could just do his over rebounds, which at 12 is maybe a little bit too high. I had him at 11.5 earlier on Underdog. A little bit annoying there, but still not a terrible bet there. And then let's go ahead and get on into the Spurs, because the Spurs are going to be without three kind of key rotational players. Keldon Johnson's out, Zach Collins is out, and then Castle is out as well. And so we go ahead and pull up the Spurs here. Really, we got a few players that should benefit with those players off the court. Champagnie here is someone that should get a decent amount of run. He is someone that I actually don't mind for his rebounds. And so let's go through this player by player here. So I'll pull him in there, and I actually don't mind his rebounds. The line, again, at 5.5, I actually didn't mind the over, so at 5, I'm not going to hate it. This is the tough part about giving PrizePicks content, is the lines are always being bumped whenever there's advantage or disadvantage. In this case, I would say that at 5, I don't mind. This is a bet where I was going to call it on Underdog, where I like the 1.x payout that they're giving us, like 1.08x payout, an increase in payout because the under was favorited there. But if you look at it, guys, this is a great matchup going against Portland. This is a matchup where DVP-wise, it's the easiest matchup. They give about 8.3 rebounds per game to his position. And so you change that to fit his projected minutes, and he should still get 5.6 rebounds in this game. And then if you look at his per 36 production with all those players off the court, He averages 7.4 rebounds per 36 with those 3 players off the court. So to me, that's a slight edge that we are getting there. Again, hate the fact that the data is telling us about the under. It's an annoying part of this video. And if you guys are confused by that, like I typically like to do my own research first, seeing like which bets I like. And then what I like to do is then, all right, let's go to the 9-to-5 cheat sheet, see which are those bets like matching up with what I say. Is Vegas agreeing with that? And if Vegas is agreeing with that, I am heavily more likely. That didn't make sense. I am much more likely to be on that bet rather than not. So like, let's say with Chris Paul, I liked his over assist. I don't know what's going on with the price. This is annoying. They have since bumped this up a little bit, but he does average 1.9 more assists per 36 with those players off the court. And so with that, let's go ahead and jump into Jeremy Sochan because we are getting some lines for him. And I actually don't mind his over points. Again, kind of looking at decently good matchup going against Chicago. Pretty close game here as well. The issue with him is his minutes have been a little bit variable. Like they've gone, like last game he didn't get that many minutes. We expect him to get around 30 minutes. So especially with those 3 players off the court, he is someone that should get that run. And so if he does, DVP wise, tight should be able to get the over. If you look at kind of what he's projected at minutes wise, given the Vegas line, he should be able to get the over as well. He gets +6 more points per 36 with those players off the court as well. And so that bumps that all the way up to like 20 guys. And are we expecting that exactly? Maybe not. But the issue is lately he has not been getting the minutes. And so we do need him to get closer to the projected minutes. And again, I think that could come simply because Collins, Keldon Johnson, and also Castle are out. All players that I wouldn't mind my Milwaukee Bucks trading for as well there. So guys, I do want to get into my favorite NBA bets here. So I'll give you guys kind of my bet of the day for the NBA bets, and I'll give you guys my PrizePicks flex slip bet. But first, I want to remind you guys of the promo code that's going on the website. Use promo code Keep Cashing and 20% off your first 9-to-5 month membership. I'm currently working on finishing an NBA tool that will kind of show you guys the research that I've been referencing during these videos. I'm pretty excited for that. Hopefully we'll have that done this weekend. We'll see. But definitely excited to get that out to you guys. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the NBA bets for today. All right, so get into the 9-to-5 bet of the day here. Again, I like Micic, and the fact that these are just underdog bets. These are bets that you make on traditional sportsbook bets as well. I like the idea of betting on to get over 1.5 first quarter points. That was a bet that was available on Underdog. Chris Paul over 8.5 assists. So again, the line currently on PrizePicks of 9.5, I would say is closer to right. And so I don't need to bet on that. Champagne, I don't mind him to get over 5.5 rebounds, especially on PrizePicks where we can get that at 5. I think that's okay. Alex Sarr to get over his points and rebounds. Another bet where the under was favored there, but I like it. And then Jeremy Sochan to get over 15.5 points. I think that's a decent edge. And then I do think there's a decent game stack that we could run out here as well here with Washington. Maybe the game stays a little bit closer, and maybe with hopefully Evan Mobley sitting, we get a little bit of a better edge there. I'm not saying that he is going to sit for sure. They'll probably come out right before lineup lock. But given the fact that they're that heavy of favorites, Cleveland, kind of like last night with Tatum being questionable against Detroit, where they're such heavy favorites, it makes sense for someone to sit. And so with Mobley being a little bit questionable, I could end up seeing him sit. And then guys, just real quickly, I just noticed we are getting some Lakers lines, and I want to call these out. Like if Austin Reeves is not limited, he is coming back from being injured, I could see him getting his over 28 for his fantasy score. That seems like too low. But if he does end up being limited, like Dalton Connect, if you look at his per 36 production with LeBron off the court, he should be able to crush this over. I really don't get this one. I know if we look at his last 5 games, he has not gotten the over, but like he makes a lot of sense to get a pretty good increase in his minutes. And if that happens, I like the over there. And then Hachimura as well to get over 27 for his fantasy score. This line, per 36 wise, seems to be a little bit too low. And so this is a spot where I think it's worth calling out because with LeBron out, there is a lot of uses that's open up. We look at some per 36 production with them off the court. We could just blindly stack the Lakers and just hope that the game stays close. And if we do this, even Russell you could do, even AD, like they're all a little bit too low given their production with LeBron off the court. And if the game ends up staying a little bit closer than what Vegas is saying, we're not getting a discounted bet slip because of the fantasy score lines. Like, I don't mind that. And then, guys, again, I kind of mentioned this. The board is constantly updating throughout the day. Let me zoom out so you guys can see it a little bit better. The Yabu Sally bet is no longer there as a good bet, but we are getting Brandon Clark for his fantasy score. Devon Achan for over 4.5 receptions. Don't hate that. Desmond Bain for his fantasy score is an okay bet. probably have that on the bet of the day here. We still have Vasilije over his fantasy score, not terrible, but not as big of an edge there. So just one to watch out for. And so I think I kind of got the bet of the day here for PrizePicks. I'm going to do a 3-slip flex bet for just today. But if you guys want to toss in like some other bets, I don't mind. Devon Achane over 4.5 receptions, and also Kendrick Bourne over 2.5 receptions. I think those are both decent NFL bets. All right, yeah, so this is what I'm going to be looking at here today. Worth calling out, guys. Like, not that many like good bets today, which is crazy. And I think a lot of you guys know a good bet is considered a bet that is over 54% likelihood or better to hit. I mentioned a bunch of other bets that you guys could go ahead and target if you guys choose to do so. But that's going to be all for this video, guys. Make sure to give a like to this video. Trying to get to 100 likes per video, guys. That does help out a lot. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want access to the tools that you saw in this video, head on over to 95sports.com. Get access to them for just $10 a month. Thanks for watching, guys. Good luck with your bets today. And as always, let's keep cashing.